ACC championship game. We have Clemson versus Virginia. Clemson, undefeated on the year at 12-0. They basically have run roughshod versus the whole entire ACC division. And they're going to be facing Virginia, who is 93 on the year. Now, first we need to talk about the outstanding job that Bronco Mendenhall has did with this Virginia football program. Virginia University is mostly known for their success on the basketball court, but this football program has been very, very good under Bronco Mendenhall's coaching. He did an exceptional job. And I mean, look, Virginia has a pretty solid team. You got Bryce Perkins. You got a couple of nice cornerbacks that are probably going to be playing in the NFL. The linebackers are pretty straight. And they're pretty good in the trenches. Now, although they have had some of their disappointing losses, like when they lost to Miami, this Virginia team is a solid team. Now, Clemson, on the other hand, is a monster. They're a juggernaut. They got NFL players all on the board on both sides of the ball. Travis Etienne, he's going to be going in the first round of next year's draft. Trevor Lawrence is going to be a future top 10 pick. I mean, you got all these talented wide receivers. So, I mean, for Bronco Mendenhall and this Virginia football program, you got to come into this game, and you got to come into this game with the mentality that we need to keep this game close. We need to keep this game close at all times. Bronco Mendenhall and this Virginia coaching staff needs to come up with a game plan that they can find a way to keep this game within reach. So, when I say within reach, I said the same thing in my Ohio State versus Wisconsin video. If you're Virginia and you're the underdog coming into this game, you never want to find yourself getting down more than 10 points at any point of the game. So going into the halftime, if you're Virginia and you're down, let's say you're down 10 points. If I'm Bronco Mendenhall, I feel good about myself because 10 points is manageable. 10 points is better than being down 28 points to Clemson at halftime. So if you're Virginia, you need to keep this game close. You need to be able to get pressure on Trevor Lawrence because when Trevor Lawrence gets under pressure this year, he has been an entirely different quarterback. If you get pressure on Trevor Lawrence, he's a whole entirely different quarterback. And I said this all the way back to last year when they played Notre Dame in the first round of college football playoffs. And that first quarter at Notre Dame game last year, Notre Dame was able to hang around because they were able to get pressure on Trevor Lawrence. Then after that, their game plan just went all down the drain. But how that ties into Virginia is that if Virginia is able to get pressure on Trevor Lawrence and able to get into his face, this game is going to have an entirely different outcome. Now, Virginia is the second best team in the ACC. So Virginia, they might not have the talent that Clemson has, but they have good players. Now, they're not up to the level of Clemson and things like that, but these players are good enough that I think they can hang around with Clemson for a couple of quarters. The thing is, Virginia has to be able to keep this game close enough and try not to get rostered to death by Clemson. Because that's really what happens when you have a team that has a big talent gap. Is most of the time these teams like Virginia are able to hang around, and then after halftime, they just get rostered to death. So if you're Virginia, you need to keep this game close, and you need to keep it within reach. You never want to find yourself getting down more than 10 points in this game. Now, looking at Clemson, Trevor Lawrence, they have turned it on over the last couple of weeks. I mean, this has looked like this team now actually looks like a college football playoff team. Although we knew that coming into this year, it's just that the committee just didn't feel was trying to penalize Clemson for all the poor performances that they've been having. But I mean, this is a Clemson team that has really turned it on. So if you're Clemson going into this game, you got to make sure Trevor Lawrence isn't turning the ball over, because Trevor Lawrence has been a turnover machine this year, because turnovers are really the biggest thing that can keep Virginia in this game. Because you have the talent, you should be able to go out there and execute and have no problem. But turnovers is what can keep Virginia in this game. And when we look at my keys to victory, what both these teams be able to do to win this game, for Virginia, you got to keep the game close. And you got to get pressure on Trevor Lawrence. Now, I've spent like most of the video saying this, but I'm going to try to nail the point home for the last time about Virginia keeping the game close. Keep the game close. I think if you're going into halftime and you're down 10-0, if you're Virginia, you got to feel pretty good about yourself. Because a lot of teams don't go into halftime down 10 versus Clemson. A lot of teams go into halftime down 28-0 or 35-0 against Clemson. So if you're Virginia, you got to find a way to keep this game close. And a big reason why I think Virginia can kind of hang around with Clemson is because I think Clemson is facing a Virginia team that this Virginia team is probably the best team that Clemson has faced all this season. I don't even think that's even probably. They are the best team that Clemson has faced up to this point in the season. So the question is with Virginia is, can they win the line of scrimmage? Now, if Virginia is able to get pressure on Trevor Lawrence and they're able to win the line of scrimmage, then they're going to be able to hang around in this game. Because if you get pressure on Trevor Lawrence, he's going to make some mistakes. And that's also something Virginia needs to do, which isn't listed on here, but they need to force turnovers. Look, Virginia's going to need a lot of luck and a lot of things to go their way. They're going to need a lot of calls to go their way. They're going to need a couple of turnovers. So, I mean, if you're Virginia, you got to get pressure on Trevor Lawrence. If you get pressure on Trevor Lawrence, he's an entirely different quarterback than what he is when he has a clean pocket to work with. You get pressure on Trevor Lawrence, you got an opportunity to make mistakes. You got an opportunity to get the ball back to your offense. Now, Virginia, keeping the game close, back to that next point. I know I'm going back and forth, but keeping the game close. Where Bryce Perkins, the thing I like about Bryce Perkins is that you can trust Bryce Perkins with the ball in his hands. He's not a guy who's going to turn the ball over a lot, and he's smart with the football. So in a game like this, Bryce Perkins has to limit the turnovers, and he kind of has to take a little bit more chances than what he's accustomed to taking. Because when you're playing a team like Clemson, you can't afford to be conservative. You got to be all in. And if you're Virginia, this is the freaking ACC championship game. It's big. It's go home with that trophy or go home empty-handed. So Virginia needs to pull some strings, get a couple of trick plays up their sleeves. They need to do something. They need to have some trick plays up their sleeves, and Bryce Perkins has to have some big plays, not only in the passing game, but in the running game as well. Because that's what's going to be able to keep this game close. You can't come into this game predictable. When you have a team that's better than you talent-wise, you got to beat them with coaching, you got to beat them with execution, and you got to be able to force turnovers and not give them the ball. So if you're Virginia, Bronco Mendenhall and his coaching staff needs to come up with a great game plan, which involves getting pressure on Trevor Lawrence, limit turnovers, limit penalties, and execute. That's what this game is going to come down to. Can Virginia make enough plays and execute enough that they can give themselves a chance in the full quarter to win this game without somehow getting rostered to death? Because that's what it's going to come down to. So what Clemson has to be able to do to win this game, for Clemson, you obviously got to limit the turnovers. Now, turnovers is the only thing, in my opinion, that I think is going to keep Virginia in this game from a realistic standpoint. If Clemson turn the ball over like how they were at the beginning of the season, Virginia's going to hang around. And Virginia has enough talent. They're not one of the most talented teams, but they have enough talent and with their coaching that if you give them opportunities, they can take advantage of it. So if you're Clemson, you got to be able to limit the turnovers, especially in the red zone, because I saw a lot of turnovers I saw out of Clemson this year has been inside the red zone. That's a big no-no, because points in the red zone in this game are going to matter when you're facing a team like a Virginia that's an underdog. Next thing they have to be able to do is they got to keep Bryce Perkins in the pocket. Now, Bryce Perkins is a solid quarterback, but he's a lot better outside the pocket than he is inside the pocket, in my opinion. And when you have a mobile quarterback like a Bryce Perkins, you want to force him to beat you inside the pocket. Now, Virginia has a solid offensive line, but Clemson's defensive line is absolutely loaded. So if you're Clemson, you need to keep Bryce Perkins in the pocket and force him to beat you through the air. So the team that I'm going with to win this game, I'm taking Clemson to win this game. I think Virginia hangs around there at halftime. I think Virginia goes into halftime with a 17-10 to 7 score. So they'll be down 10 points, which is what I said. I think they'll find a way to make this game close at halftime. They'll be down 17-7. Then in the second half, I think they kind of put a little bit, they score a touchdown, they go into the midway of the third quarter point, down 17-7. And then after that, late in the third quarter, in the fourth quarter, I think Clemson just ends up rostering them to death. So I think Virginia's going to be able to hang around into the third quarter, and then I think midway or near the end of the third quarter, Clemson's going to be able to pull away, and they're going to end up rostering Virginia to death. Now, my final score prediction, I say Clemson. I don't think they're necessarily going to destroy Virginia. I hope not, because I hope this game is competitive. But I think Clemson ends up having their way with Virginia later on in the game. And I think Clemson pours it on. I think this game ends up being 31-17 Clemson. And I think I'm just being nice giving Virginia 17 points. Because I know a lot of Clemson fans are going to come on here and they're just going to call me an idiot and say that this game is going to be a blowout. But I would like to think that Virginia, with their coaching staff, is going to be able to call up some plays and find a way to put up a couple of points. At least 17 points. So I think Clemson wins this game 34-17. I just think Clemson is just too talented, and I think eventually they're going to end up rostering Virginia to death. So let me know what you guys think about this game down in the comment section down below. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel for more NFL videos and college football videos, and thanks for watching.